Hi, everyone. This is Rob Stanley with Feedback Wiz, and today I'm here with Rick Wilson, CEO and new author of the book, Dragonproof eCommerce. Hey, Rick, thanks for being on with us on our eCom podcast. Appreciate it.
Hey, Robbie, thanks for having me.
Thanks. So we're going to talk a little bit. Why don't you give us a little introduction about the book? So Rick's got this new book out, first time he put out a book, but yet you've been in the e-commerce business for a long time. And why don't you tell us a little outline of what the book's about, the Dragonproofing the e-commerce?
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, I've been in the business 20 years now, 20 years this September. So it's a long time in this space. I've seen it all kind of come up. And so I had an idea. I had an idea for the last few years that I wanted to write a book covering something about, there's not that many people other than maybe yourself who's been doing it this long too, right? So it's like, wow, this is a really long view. So I sat down and I brainstormed a list of books we could write, and thought about, well, what do I think is relevant? What do people want to hear about? And really one of the questions that always comes up is, how do I compete in the age of Amazon? You know, so there's this weird feeling out there in the market that people both know they need Amazon, right? Because Amazon's essentially half of e-commerce sales, right, in North America, and then they also fear Amazon. You know, it doesn't take much Googling to go find articles about how Amazon's destroying this or Amazon's destroying that. And the book doesn't really take that perspective. The book is designed to say, look, history suggests that there's always a dragon. That's why the book's not really, there's Amazon's names in the subtitle, but history suggests there's always a dragon, right? Before Amazon, it was Walmart, right? It wasn't that long ago that people were protesting Walmarts, right? And before that, the one most people, you know, if you're our age, people will know this answer, but a lot of younger people don't. It was Sears, right? And 100 years ago, Sears actually had more. Sears sold a larger percentage of our GDP via retail than Amazon does today. So on a scaled basis, Sears was arguably bigger than Amazon back at the turn of the 1900s. And and you could buy a house from Sears, although I think you can actually buy a house from Amazon now too. You can get a manufactured home.
A mini house.
but you know, Sears was the behemoth, and these dragons come, and there's always a dragon, and that's I would say that's kind of principle number one in the book. There's always a dragon. So if you're waiting as a business person for there to be a world where there's no dragon coming after, you know, the spoils, you won't have a business, right? So I would say that's kind of point number one. And then from there it was, hey, so how do you compete? How do you actually thrive in the age of Amazon? And one thing I would always tell people was, if you have enough margin to sell and fulfill by Amazon, so if you can create a brand and a product and you can put it on Amazon and let them ship it for you and get the benefits of Prime, and you can still make a profit, then you're in a pretty solid position, because they're going to take, you know, let's call it half in that case, right? And that way, what that means, if you can make a profit in that scenario, is then when you start building your other channels, when you go via eBay or other marketplaces, or you start having an independent website and go direct to your consumers, your margins will increase. So if you can build a product that people will pay you enough for that you can profit by selling it via Amazon, then you actually should be home free to expand beyond Amazon and really have a great business. And so I talk in the book about, you know, here are things that help you. Here are things that help you stand out against Amazon. And then I cover things, you know, here are the people who I've seen get crushed by Amazon, and not in a negative anti-Amazon way. Just, you know, if you made your money online, let's say you opened up a web store selling, you know, motorcycle helmets, but you didn't manufacture them. You're just a reseller of motorcycle helmets, and you were killing it in the early 2000s because you knew Google's SEO algorithm. Between the rise of Amazon and then Penguin and Panda over at Google, you got crushed, right? Because Google wasn't going to allow you to SEO hack your way to millions of dollars a year, and Amazon wasn't going to let you keep all those margins. And they didn't do it. They didn't, you know, collude, but the two of those forces came together in the market, these huge moving tectonic market force plates, and they squeezed that kind of merchant out. So I talk in the book about those things, and then I talk about, you know, here are things that I think just philosophically in the long run that you can keep doing to always fend yourself off from whoever the dragon of the day is.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And that's a great outline of what the book's about. And, you know, let's back up a little bit. So let's throw let's throw out there, just disclosure wise, I've known Rick, I think I was counting at about 17 years now.
Yeah, that's right.
I actually, my entire platform of my business prior to selling it was on Miva. I've known Rick a long time. We both have been in this e-commerce world a very long time and seen lots happen. Let's face it, just to point out the truth is, if you invested heavily into being on eBay and you were all committed to eBay, you would be hurting right now because eBay is not the number one platform out there.
Yep.
So I think, kind of one thing I took away from the book, besides there are so many good points, which you just pointed out, a lot of them in there when I was reading through it. There's some great points in there for people that either have been in the e-commerce world a long time or even just starting into the e-commerce world. And some of the things you actually mentioned in there, it took me years to understand those or go through those experiences. So some people who maybe are just getting into the e-com world, this is a great book to go read to give you some insight of things that it took Rick and I years to learn, that these things will happen and this process will happen and you'll experience this. So one of the takeaways from it is that, in my opinion, was you kind of need to be on all platforms to cover yourself. You need to be on all marketplaces just to be ready for what's next. Because when eBay dominated, we thought there's nobody coming out that's going to beat them. They control the market. They have everybody on there, all the sales. And we were just like, that's it. Nobody else is coming out. They got it done. You want to go back further? I mean, look when Microsoft ruled the planet before Apple. I was working at Apple. I saw Microsoft rule it.
Yep.
So, what Rick's talking about is change. There's always change. There's always this dragon. There's always something coming along that will be that dragon or that number one that will take over, no matter whether it's the Microsoft and Apple or the eBay versus your own platform versus Amazon. So that's kind of what you're covering of it. But, I want you back up a little, Rick. Why don't you tell them a little bit about Miva and how you got started with that?
Sure. So for those of you who don't know, Miva is an e-commerce platform. Loosely we'd be similar to a Magento or a Shopify. We're on the more Magento side as far as customizations, where Shopify is great for just getting up and running fast for simple websites. But if you have lots of products or you want to do solid product customizers, we go really wide and deep on our feature set. And so Miva's been around since 1997. I got involved with Miva in 1999. And then I've essentially been running Miva as president and CEO now for the last 12 years, I guess. And so Robbie met me when I was in sales at Miva back during the .com boom age. And then he saw me and a team of people come buy Miva and kind of rebuild it, if you will. And so Miva, like I said, it's a mid-market e-commerce platform. People generally doing, $1 million to $100 million in online sales. But that gives us a lot of unique perspectives. Generally speaking, we're not serving the Fortune 500. I'm not trying to sell Nike a new website.
Yeah.
And I do deal with a lot of independent business owners who are essentially big mom and pops, right? But they're bigger maybe than some of the micro mom and pops on Shopify or just getting started on Amazon. And so I think we have a unique vantage point of which to see the world.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And Rick and I were actually talking earlier before the podcast, and we were talking about how I've got this pretty interesting perspective of coming from, owning a website on Miva, selling my website a little over a year ago. And now I'm living in this entire Amazon world, watching people that start their business on Amazon and then decide, okay, what other platforms do I go to next? And Rick's got this very interesting he sees these business owners that either most of the time have their own product, and then they start their website, and then they're kind of looking for, where do I go next? If I can afford the margins, where else can I make money from? So maybe touch a little bit on that, Rick, with maybe some of the clients. When they start with you, they probably come in more as a medium-sized or upper medium-sized business. How many times do you get a call, where should I be selling next, or something, and get asked that question?
It's been a couple of years since I've been in the super front line of sales, so I don't know how often we get the marketplace seller expanding to their own website, although it happens for sure, especially at things like IRCE and stuff. You bump into people who have built their business that way, or if I'm out on the speaking circuit, or if I'm at IMA, ASD, those places. That's where I really see this concentration of marketplace sellers. Sometimes you see people who started in retail arbitrage, and then they figured out how to source products, and they built a little business for themselves. They started living the dream, so to speak. They wanted to work for themselves, and they finally got it up to where they're making $5-6 grand a month or $10 grand a month working for themselves. But then they realize, oh shit, excuse my French, they're running from that Indiana Jones boulder every month, right? Where do I get my next product? What happens if this thing, what happens if something changes? In these days, what happens if a tariff happens? All this stuff is sort of moving fast. And like you said earlier, the book really is about knowing that change is coming and how do you manage to change philosophically. And then the thing I'd say we see the most is, we see people who either have a decent business outside of traditional e-commerce. This is who we're getting these days, at least new ones. People who maybe had a decent business manufacturing and they want to go direct to their customers and sell, or maybe they were business to business and they're selling to their dealer network online, but it was like a crappy portal that you log into that you couldn't customize. It's not mobile friendly. And what's happening, not surprisingly, in that side of the world is as younger people are getting into those jobs as corporate buyers, they expect the same high quality shopping experience everywhere. It's only people my age, mid 40s and older, who will accept sort of a crappy shopping experience for businesses because it's just the way it's been. Where younger people are like, no, this isn't. I don't want to waste my time with too many clicks, and I don't want to have to go onto a desktop. I need to be able to do it from my phone. It needs to be easy, right? And what we see in those businesses is, when they when they haven't really invested in tools, either something custom or maybe it's an ERP plugin, or maybe they've tried to squeeze themselves into Shopify, but they're doing business to business stuff and it's not designed for that. If they invest in building the right platform for their customers, then you suddenly see conversions go up, average order value go up, right? And it's when customers let us work with them and help them grow, we're seeing 20, 30, 40% year-over-year compounding growth, even on businesses that have been around a long time. And that's when it's exciting for that stuff.
Yeah. So just so everybody understands, so Miva's got this incredible shopping cart and platform that you can sell on, right? And it's basically, they got an entire team. I remember in the early 2000s walking into the San Diego office and I could see the entire team from the front door practically. And not saying that's a bad thing because we've all been there.
Absolutely could.
We've definitely all been there. But, you guys are a lot bigger now. Maybe talk a little bit about the team you guys have and maybe some of the services you offer at Miva. So if people are out there and maybe they're selling on Amazon and they're looking at, hey, I'm doing really good on it, but I'd like to open my website. What kind of services you guys offer them? How can you help them out and get them going?
Sure. So we have 2 offices now. We have San Diego. It's still our headquarters. We have a little over 100 people here. We have about 30 people in our Tampa office. People always ask, why do you have an office in Tampa? Well, 8 years ago, we bought a company in Tampa. So with that company came an office. And so we have an office in Tampa, and a lot of our network monitoring staff and tech support are in Tampa. But we don't outsource anything. Everything's in-house fundamentally, right?
Yeah.
And so realistically, most of Miva is just the software as a service. It's the platform, right? We do have a professional services team. We do help people build their websites. But really recently, we've also been building our agency and partner network. And so, going back from your perspective to the olden days, so to speak, we had a really broad partner network of people who would build websites for you using Miva. But most of them were 1- and 2-person shops. They were it was the Wild West of web development. Yeah. And when Magento took off in the mid to late 2000s, the bigger web development agencies took off with Magento, and we kind of missed that wave. That was when Miva was at its bottom, and we were rebuilding it. And so for a while, we were doing professional services for as many of our big clients as we could. Now, we really only serve our top 50 clients via our in-house professional services people because I just couldn't keep enough. You can't make it big enough. Yeah. And we're taking on about 6-8 new clients a year directly for professional services, not just for Miva, but for professional services. But then we've built a great partner network and we have Miva Learn. So even if you have your own web developers, you can have your own web developers watch Miva Learn, or if you're a web developer, you can watch it. It's totally free. It's like a university style training to teach you the basics of Miva and how to build a Miva website. And so what we do is, we work with people to make sure that the thing they're trying to do, usually it's a custom shopping experience that's not like a cookie cutter out of the box shopping experience, that where they can do unique things that you can't do on Amazon. I mean, Amazon's great. 50% of the product searches start there. And like I said earlier, as long as you have the margin to sell on Amazon, that's a good sign that you can win. But then what you're going to do is say, wow, if I controlled the shopping experience, this is one of the things in the book, if I controlled the shopping experiences, what would I do differently than Amazon that would only benefit me? Amazon's never going to do this because Amazon's not doing it to benefit you. They're doing it to benefit them, and that's fine. But what could I do? And like, I can think of a bunch of examples. You know, Santa Cruz Skateboards is a customer of ours. You can go on there and you can take all their different brands, independent trucks, Santa Cruz Skateboards, and you can customize a skateboard across all their brands. You can see it in your web browser, and then you can essentially hit add to cart, and they'll build you a custom skateboard. We don't do Vans website, but it's similar to how you can go make your own Vans tennis shoes at Vans.com, right? And Borsheim's is a customer of ours. They're big. They have a huge physical retail presence in Omaha. It's in Omaha. That's where Berkshire Hathaway is, Omaha, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yep.
So that's when Warren Buffett does his annual shareholder meeting. It's all next door to Borsheim's, and then they, all the shareholders go in and buy jewelry there, and they're really big into the engagement ring business, and so they built a custom engagement ring builder, and it's super slick and sexy, and it's not that Amazon doesn't have the technology to sell engagement rings, and I'm sure you probably can buy engagement rings on Amazon, but the shopping experience on Amazon is usually best when you know exactly what you want, and you're looking for price and shipping speed, right? So, this morning I realized I was getting low on my multivitamins, and so I went into my Amazon app and I ordered multivitamins. It'd be pretty hard for a vitamin brand to make a better shopping experience than that for me, because I knew exactly what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
I've got Prime, so it's going to be here in 2 days. So, but that brand, I have loyalty to that specific brand via Amazon. But then you can imagine, let's say I was a vitamin person and I took a ton of vitamins. I don't, but let's say I was. I might go to the vitamin website and I might be able to build a custom shopping experience where you put in like what your health goals are and what you want to achieve, and then it could create customized product lists for you. Those are the kind of things you can't do on Amazon that you can do with a custom e-commerce platform. And those are the ways that you can take a relatively small order value. Let's say you're selling on Amazon and your average order value is $50, but you're making just enough profit to make it all worthwhile. If you get that same customer to your website, you probably have enough control to get your average order value up to $100, $140, because you can do cross-sell and upsell, and you can do all the things that with your own products, and you can do higher margin products. The best thing to cross-sell and upsell, as you know, is the high margin stuff, right? It's the same thing they do at the grocery store. What's right up front, right on the way out? Or if you're going to Fry's and you check out and you're going to walk through that whole maze of stuff, it's all the really high margin, in those cases, it's like candy and stuff, but it's high margin impulse buys. Yeah. And that's e-commerce too, right? I'm buying this thing and that's the thing I'm there for. Oh, but for an extra $15, I can get this add-on. And if that add-on only costs me, the merchant, $1, now I'm into the really juicy part of the business.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. So some of the people watching this that, let's say, are selling on Amazon, let's give you a for instance on this. So people on Amazon they love to put like insert cards, right? Like, hey, get here, fill out this card, send it in. We'll give you extended your warranty, right? Which you're allowed to do, right? You can get there. Well, that's how they're collecting, let's say, your information, possibly even your email. Now, take that collection of people that you built up, and you could either retarget them back to new products you're putting on Amazon, or you could retarget them back to your own website where your margins will be higher. So depending on the product you're selling, you could just retarget it back. Now, some people might say, well, the item I sell is a subscription type. Well, guess what Miva does? Miva also does a subscription type. So why not do both? Why would you not give them the option? If they're already on Amazon, they have Prime, and they want to go there and rebuy it, then turn around. Why not open your own store and get that higher margin? I mean, that's a great example of what Rick's talking about right now, is you could take those customers that you've correctly obtained their information from them. They voluntarily gave it to you. And now you could retarget them back, but now retarget it back at a bigger margin through your own site. So that's what Rick's getting at with, opening your own site. It opens up another avenue for sales. So Rick, let's go back to the book a little bit. So, because I know people probably listening want to talk, hear about it.
Let me give you one, just on what you were just talking about, just on a margin basis, right? So I'm drawing in broad strokes about Amazon, but for the most part, if you're fulfilling via Amazon and you're paying them for, the traffic, call it, that's half of what. So if you sell something for $50, you're going to get 25. By the time you're done with merchant fees, fulfillment by Amazon, and listing fees, right? So cool. So that means you have to have at least 50% in real margin to survive and thrive on Amazon. So to compare that to an independent website. Now, granted, there's some upfront costs in an independent website, unless you're a web designer. Granted, all the platforms, Miva included, start with really solid themes, but you need to put some design work. So there's some upfront muscle to go into a website. But in the world of e-commerce independently, your cost for running an e-commerce website, just the website itself, is going to run you 2 to 3% of sales, just on average, right? Yeah. Then you have your credit card processing fees, call that another 3%. So let's say combine those two things are 5%. Cost to ship is going to cost 8%. And then, you got to pay some people to get those boxes out the door. So all in though, your cost, if you're running it independently, should be sub 20%, which is a big difference from Amazon. And that extra 30 points is where the margin lies. And granted, some of that money you reinvest into a web developer to do a slick website. Some of that money you reinvest into marketing people to drive up conversions, right? But what's happening there, and this is what you alluded to, Amazon, you jump through very specific hoops to follow their rules to be able to collect that customer info, right? You get a warranty card. You have other things that fall within the rules, and if the person voluntarily does it, then now they're in your pond. But once they're in your pond, you're either going to slowly win or slowly lose based on what you do next. If you just keep redirecting everything back to Amazon and letting Amazon keep all the margin, you might think, oh, it's easier. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to pay anyone else. That's true for a while. One day you will wake up on the wrong side of that equation in most cases. Not in every case. I'm not a doomsday guy, and I'm actually a big fan of Amazon. I'm not suggesting they're the devil. I'm just suggesting always, if you're a business person, you have to have your business's interest at heart first. Yep. And Amazon has their business's interest at heart first. And as long as you guys are aligned, it's great. But one day if you wake up out of alignment, your business can snap on you real fast. If you're taking that same time as people come to you and get on your list and you reinvest them into your website and to higher margin stuff, even if you're spending some of that margin back on more staff, those staff are in theory, if you're managing them all, giving you a better website, they're helping you get better products. And you should create, it's almost the famous Amazon flywheel. You should create a virtuous effect of improving your business with the margin you're saving from Amazon. And that's one of the ideas in the book for sure.
Yeah, no, that's exactly true. So let me ask you this, Rick. So I've noticed from when I ran my business in California. California is kind of a tough place to run a business as far as having shipping people and warehouses in that concern, right? It's a great place to start a business and get it going, but not necessarily the best place to.
I love California, but I would say this: California is kind of like Amazon. If you can afford to survive in California, you have great margin.
Yes, there's a reason why a lot of the businesses are not in California, at least the ones fulfillment type ones, right?
Yeah, they're in Nevada, they're in Florida, there's certain states they're always
Texas, exactly. Yeah. So when we're talking about these things, there is things that will help you take advantage, or that will help you give you an advantage if you're going to run your own website and do some fulfillment. And a lot of it's automated. So a lot of it is automated. I mean, once we got everything squared away in Miva, I had literally a guy shipping probably, I think at one point we had 300 orders a day going out there. It only took me one shipping guy to do 300 in a day. So if you got things automated, and I think that maybe scares people sometimes. They sell on Amazon. They don't have to have a warehouse. They don't have to have staff. Everything's shipped out, but you're giving up margin as that. You got to really weigh and look at, okay, what is it going to cost me to get a guy? Yes, there's going to be upfront costs to get a person, to get either a warehouse or a small little, if you do it out of your garage, great, or, your house, but, most of them are going to be bigger companies. You got to really weigh what's that going to cost versus what am I making margin wise. Anytime I sold on eBay, it was 30%. I just automatically knew between eBay and PayPal, it was 30%. Yep. And it's probably a smidge higher than that now, but I just kind of roughly would round 30%. So, you got to look at what is it costing you, and are you retaining more of that money in your pocket that you could maybe reinvest in more inventory or find the next product you're going to be selling. So I want to go back into the book. Let's talk a little bit about, you given a good kind of, I don't want to say example, but you talk a bit about some of your clients, and one of them being SCOTTeVEST, Scott from SCOTTeVEST. Maybe go over kind of what you talk about in the book regarding SCOTTeVEST. Let's go a little bit about who he is, what he does, and then talk a little bit about, some of the, I guess, sort of growing pains he went through.
So I actually don't remember which stories made the book and didn't about Scott. I know all my Scott stories by heart. So I can talk about Scott. So Scott Jordan's longtime Miva client. He started out on Yahoo stores in like 99, and I think he's been on Miva since 2001. But he actually really is one of the archetypes that I used when I was thinking about the book. So when I thought about who builds a brand, because even going back to what you were just saying with margin is part of the story, but part of the story is where are you adding value, right? If all I'm doing is importing a product from China and I'm not changing it and I'm letting Amazon find me the customer and shipping it out, even if I'm making some margin on that today, you got to ask yourself, if I'm not adding value to the chain, right? If I'm not making the thing better, if I'm not an alchemist, essentially, of when I get the lead in and I create gold on the way out, if I'm not doing some of that, then someday I'm probably going to get it handed to me, right? Because
hold on. I'm going to stop you. Let's tell everybody what SCOTTeVEST does so they have a good understanding of what we're talking about.
The SCOTTeVEST, if you've never seen Scott Jordan, he got briefly famous on Shark Tank and then on Fox News for a minute.
Go look it up.
but Scott's a really nice guy. He's a really fun guy. He's a little bit high energy, but he's a really great guy. And he sells clothes. He basically sells kind of standard business casual, mostly men's clothes. He would sit here argue with me, tell me he's got a woman's line too, and he does. But he's selling what I would call business casual clothes with lots of pockets. And the whole point of the pockets is to put all your sunglasses and your water bottle and your gadgets. And some of this stuff really kind of came about in an age when we used to have more gadgets. Our gadgets have often been consolidated now into one gadget. But still, I know for a fact having those pockets, I use my SCOTTeVEST hoodie when I travel all the time. And I do almost exactly what you described on the website. I have a wallet. I have a thicker wallet that I don't normally carry that's got a bunch of credit cards when I travel. And I've got my passport and I've got some charging cables. And I basically use my hoodie as a little mini carry-on. And I put a bunch of crap in it, and then I'm not taking up my valuable carry-on space. And airlines can't charge me to put a hoodie somewhere. At least they haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
And so Scott sells this stuff. His primary model has been direct-to-consumer sales via his website. So that's how he started. I think he started actually his eVest 1.0 was on eBay back in 1999. But he quickly launched his own store. And then he's also sold via eBay and Amazon now for a while. But he sells a very unique brand of polos, t-shirts, hoodies, vests, jackets. He lives in Sun Valley, Idaho, so he tends to lean towards colder weather clothes, and I'm in San Diego. So I wish he would do like a line of San Diego weather clothes with pockets.
There you go.
Either here or there.
There you go. We just gave him a new product line.
That's what Scott sells, and I think Scott's a great example in the book of his product's hard to knock off.
Yeah.
First of all, he's got actually a brand. If you know SCOTTeVEST, if you've seen him online, or if you've ever been a customer of his, he's done a great job with branding. So his products are well branded. If you buy something from him, his warranty cards are actually in the pockets in the clothes. So people are gonna, whether they fill it out or not is up to them, but they're gonna see the info a few times, right? And it's not the kind of thing that you're gonna see in Amazon's basics copy of. We've seen other companies come and try to copy his stuff, and he actually has some unique design. I think he has some design patents too, but he has some unique design stuff into the way he keeps the pockets so that you don't end up like with your hoodie but all sideways because one side's too heavy. So he's actually going back to the add value process, he's adding value by solving for how do I put on a hoodie or a jacket and carry all my gear and stuff with me without it being uncomfortable and inconvenient. And that, is that $1 billion value proposition? No, but he's got a great business. I mean, he's built the ultimate lifestyle business.
Yeah. No, that's true. And he does make good quality stuff. He came out at the right time with his clothing line. There was nothing really on the market like it. It was very unique. And definitely people have, I don't want to say copied it exactly, but they've definitely added more as more gadgets became available to everybody. Definitely, you see a lot more clothing lines adding pockets and doing similar type things. But he had a very unique perspective of, what he wanted on his website. And I think you even touched a little bit on it in the book about how he wanted to go one way and you were kind of like, no, you should go this way with the website, and just kind of getting the big picture of where to go with it. And it sounded like there's even a little bit of little headbutting going on, so to speak.
Well, Scott and I have headbutted multiple times. So he's my buddy, but we both have we're both type A. So you put the two of us together and we can headbutt. But Scott was one of those guys. Scott's, I know Scott's website's having a problem because I get a text real fast. I'm on speed dial, so to speak, on Scott's iPhone, and thankfully, knock on some wood, I haven't gotten one of those texts in a long, long time. But there was a period. This is probably 2011, 12. There was a period where every year at that time, my then girlfriend and I would be going to New York for Thanksgiving. And every year, as I'm getting on the airplane to go to New York for Thanksgiving, I'm getting blown up because Scott's website's having problems. And what Scott would do, as much as I just described Scott's value proposition and what I think he's done really well, especially in the age of Amazon, creating a unique brandable product with a unique value proposition, Scott would occasionally, he would sort of duct tape all of his systems together, and he wouldn't necessarily invest the time and money to build them correctly. And then he can be real fussy when his duct taped engineering falls apart.
Yeah.
That's where Scott and I would kind of tussle. But I have a lot of respect for the business he's built.
Yeah, no, I some of the stuff he did early on, it was really kind of unique. He did the thing, what was it, if I understand correctly, it was kind of like an X-ray.
It's a version on the website. It's just not as heavy as it used to be. He would have all these clever ideas, but his websites would clock in at like 2 and 3 megabytes a page. When you're trying to have a fast loading, mobily optimized website, you need to be at 200K. And so if you're not technical, it's in the age of iPhones and whatnot, and we tend to think of pictures in gigabytes, but really on a website, you want the total content on the page that's loading to be relatively small, right? And if every time you're hitting a page, you're trying to fire 2 megabytes or 3 megabytes off via the inner tubes to someone's phone, they're not going to have a super fast experience, especially depending on what kind of cell network they're on, right? But he had this cool X-ray feature, and he used to just force it on everyone, like autoplay. And one of our, hey, just make it one of the pictures, like make it so someone can click through. And you lose the cool factor of the X-ray going, but if someone actually looks at it and clicks, they'll see the point of the X-ray wasn't the cool. The point of the X-ray was to see all the products within the pockets, to visualize how to use the product. Those things, I think he's really he sometimes stumbled his way into really clever things, but he figured out some really clever ways to drive conversions and show off how his product works.
Yeah, he absolutely nailed it, and so have quite a few others on the site on Miva platform. I mean, was it NHS Skateboards? They definitely did a great job at it. And who's the one that does all the motorcycle helmets? I'm sorry,
BTO Sports.
BTO Sports. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean,
they're a good example of something that I think is hard to do on Amazon. When you add up all their product combinations together, they have 1.4 million unique product SKUs, if you count shoppers, right? So could you imagine trying to manage 1.4 million Amazon ASINs?
I'm sure there's people out there doing it, but it's not fun.
The thing is what you should be doing on Amazon is, out of 1.4 million, there's a return on investment curve, right? And so if you have 1.4 million total SKUs, including children's SKUs, let's say there's 10,000 that are your profit drivers. Manage those 10,000 on Amazon. That's still a pain in the ass. Manage those 10,000 on Amazon, build customer loyalty, get them back to your website to realize, oh my God, you have so much more selection, and then you can get those higher margin things out the door.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about like subscription-based. You guys are hosting a company called Plant Therapy.
Yep.
Why don't you give a little background? And this, I mean, I know some of their background, but I don't know all of them. And I'm trying to remember if are they on Amazon now, or were they in the past or something?
They're on Amazon now, and I think they actually, one thing I don't know that I have to look up, I think they might both use Amazon Subscribe and Save, and they do direct subscriptions through us, I think so. I think so too. And they actually leverage Amazon really well. They have one of the virtual Prime warehouses, so they do their own fulfillment, but they have that Prime software where you can mark off part of your warehouse for Prime.
Yep.
Paul from Plant Therapy could talk way more about this stuff, and Chris from Plant Therapy could talk way more about this stuff than I can with depth of knowledge. But no, they really leverage Amazon, and they get a significant percentage of their sales from Amazon, and they do it well. And one of the things they sell, they're just getting into the CBD market because that's booming, right? So that's new for them, like 2 or 3 weeks old.
Yeah.
And they do everything by the book. So they were dotting their I's, crossing their T's, making sure everything was legal. But before this new CBD product line, they really sell essential oils. And to me, this is what's so clever about it, and this is why I talk about them so much in the book. Essential oils are the ultimate commodity product, right? Oh, yeah. If I'm selling lavender essential oil, all that means is I took the lavender plant and I boiled it down to its essential actual oils in the plant. Theoretically, any 2 lavender oil essential oils from around the world should be the same, right? Now, granted, it depends on the quality of the lavender you grow, what kind of lavender and all that stuff, but you can't get much more commodity than an essential oil. So what Plant Therapy did that was so brilliant is they built a community using Facebook and their website around their product line, and they use their subscription model to help drive that community. So you get health tips, wellness tips. They made it a health company. They really did fundamentally make it a health company, and they've exploded, and they do client acquisition via Amazon. They have enough margin to pull it off, and then they turn around and get people to their Facebook group. People join the Facebook group, and then now they get funneled back into their independent website. You subscribe and save directly from their independent website, and voila, their margin just went up 30%.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant, and they're great. They're great to work with. They're a great company. I'm always impressed by their ability to market, like I said, a fundamentally same product, no matter how you get it, and turn it into something special that's got a unique value proposition, and they do a great job at it. Yeah,
no, that's exactly true. In fact, Paul, get a hold of me. I've been trying to get a hold of him for a while. We'll help you on your product reviews on Amazon. Automate that process.
My team is actually up there today.
Oh yeah,
they're up. Another customer of ours in Idaho. They're over in I think they're in Twin Falls, and they have an office in Boise. But yeah,
so Feedback Wiz is actually on Miva's App Store. So we actually got on there. We have a click right through that you can sign up for Feedback Wiz. So yeah, we're on there. I mean, so Rick's got lots of great customers. I mean, we could probably sit here and talk about for hours about e-commerce. Okay, Rick. So why don't you give us a few tips from the book that people can kind of some takeaways that people that are either getting into e-commerce or already in e-commerce that maybe could just kind of some pointers or things they could take away from the book and tell them how to get a hold of you and how to get a hold of the book.
Sure. So, the takeaway that I would want to impart on everyone is, really, if you're at that inflection point where you're selling on Amazon and you feel like it's easier just to only sell on Amazon, you don't have to have employees, you don't have to have all this stuff, and you're kind of dreaming of this like passive income world where you just source products and throw them on Amazon. You can make a living that way for a while, and I'm sure there's always exceptions to the rule. There's people who have probably made a decent living that way, but I would encourage them to start diversifying, open up new channels that have higher margins, use the margin from those higher margin sales to build your business. Because in order to really have a long-term success in the world of e-commerce, you need to build your business. And to build your business, you have to add value to your product, to build a brand. You have to build a customer base that's got a community around your product and your brand. And so, that's the way to do it. The kind of Shangri-La dream that you can have a passive income business by having Amazon sell and ship your stuff for you. That's not really real. And so, but that's not to discourage people. The beauty is there's so much opportunity in e-commerce, and if you're going to work hard somewhere, you might as well work hard for yourself and build a great business. And so I would take that out of the book, and ask be honest with yourself. Ask yourself the hard questions. Are you adding value to your process? Are you either creating a product from scratch that's valuable, or are you taking a commodity and adding value to it in some other way? And if the answer is yes, you're truly adding value, then you should have something, as long as there's enough people who want to buy it that you can build a business on. And as far as getting a hold of me, I would recommend the book. And the book, you can buy the book on Amazon. You can also
tell them the name of the book.
Dragonproof eCommerce.
That way, if you're listening to the podcast, you know where to go get it. It's on Amazon.
It's also, you can go to dragonproofbook.com.
There you go.
So at dragonproofbook.com, you can sign up for our podcast. We're just getting ready to launch our first podcast in about 2 weeks. And we'll do something similar to what we're doing here, where I'm interviewing merchants asking about how they've fared in the age of Amazon. So you can go to dragonproofbook.com. There's links to buy the book on Amazon, links to buy the book from us directly, ways to sign up for the podcast and the newsletter, which is all free. And there's ways to get in touch with me from there as well. So that's how I would recommend it.
Yeah, Rick's on all the social media. And just so everybody who's listening, it's Miva is MIVA.com, Miva.com. If you're interested in going and open your own store, take a look at them as another option. Rick, great having you on. Haven't seen you since IRCE, and we didn't get really talk there. But thanks for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on today, Robbie. And I can't wait to have you down on my podcast in San Diego.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Rick.
All right, thanks.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more information, please visit feedbackwiz.com.